What's going on, everyone? Mitesh here. You know, one of the things I love talking about on this channel is mechanical keyboards. I have been using mechanical keyboards for the past 4 years, and I think they are absolutely the best things ever. And if you are someone who uses a computer for a living, you should consider buying one. But I understand they tend to be expensive and you don't want to spend a ton of money on them. So today, I have for you guys a really interesting keyboard. It is a Bluetooth mechanical keyboard. So it's wireless, it's got full RGB lighting, and it has gateron switches, which I think are a really good switch to get. They're equivalent to cherries, and I think a lot of times actually better than cherries. But yeah, this keyboard right here can be had for just $50, and at that price, you have to think that there has to be some sort of catch, doesn't there? Well, there is. Kind of. Let's talk about it. Alright, so before we get started, I want to let you know that this keyboard was provided to me for this review by Banggood.com. If you guys aren't familiar with Banggood, they are an online retailer, much like Amazon, that provides you stuff directly from China, and they have a great selection of mechanical keyboard stuff. So definitely go check out a link in the description if you guys are interested in checking out either this keyboard or many of the other budget mechanical keyboards they have on their website. But yeah, let's talk about what you get in the keyboard first. So of course you get the keyboard itself. You get a USB-A to USB-C cable to let you use the keyboard either wired or to charge up the keyboard. And then you also get a wire keycap puller, which is way better than those plastic ones you usually get with budget keyboards. I just think will not focus on it. But yeah, this thing is way better, and this will help you just take off the keycaps like so. And yeah, let's start by talking about the keycaps themselves. So the keycaps are a double shot ABS keycap, which means that the legend on here is actually a second piece of plastic, which is really good because it means it won't wear out. You do have additional legends on the side because this is a 60% keyboard, which means that you are missing a lot of keys. And if you want to replicate those functions, like for example, delete and page down, you'll need to use the function key and then push those to make them work. This is a 60% keyboard, but it does still retain the arrow keys, which is, I think, a really nice touch because I know keyboards without arrow keys is just something that people have a hard time adjusting to. Myself personally, I need the arrow keys because I use them quite a bit. So yeah, you do still have access to all those things. Like the function row, it's still here. You just have to use the function button to access it. So that is something you should know. With a small layout like this, you are going to be missing some keys that you may be used to. Obviously, you don't have the numpad and stuff, but personally, I think this is a good layout for anybody that's looking to get into mechanical keyboards because I think most people don't actually need a numpad. They're just used to having one, and most of the time I can just get used to this. Especially if you're used to like a laptop layout, this thing is great. But you know, this is actually where the caveat to the beginning of it comes in, where I think there is actually one flaw to this keyboard, and that is the layout. So if you guys take a look right here, to make space for the arrow keys, they've had to change layout down here, and I think it's for the worse. So the biggest change that they made is moving this key, the / and question mark key, from over here to over here. Now, if you're someone who's used to just memory typing, like you touch type, you don't look down at the keyboard, this is really gonna mess you up if you use the / or question mark a lot. And I'm a programmer and I use that button a lot, and it really messes me up because I need access to this all the time, and I'm used to it being over here, but now it's shifted over here and it's a real issue. So if you're a programmer, I think this is not the keyboard you should get. I think there are better keyboards out there with better layouts, and yeah, this I think is just a mistake. I don't understand why this was put over here, but that I think is the biggest flaw of this keyboard. Otherwise, everything else about it is pretty great. So yeah, if this has not turned you off, let's talk about the rest of this thing. So yeah, let's talk about the design. And it is an all plastic build on this keyboard, but there is very little to no flex to this keyboard whatsoever. It does have a metal plate in between for the back plate of the keyboard, so it's decently rigid. In terms of branding, you got the Blitzwolf logo right here. Otherwise, there's nothing else on the right and left side. There is the USB-C plug on the back that once again lets you charge the keyboard or use it wired. So that's nice. And then on the back you have a single on-off switch right here. Now there are some functions you can do. So this keyboard is compatible with up to 5 Bluetooth devices, which is, I think, is a first. I've only ever used keyboards that are compatible with 3 Bluetooth devices, but you can see there's BT1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can switch over different Bluetooth devices by holding down the FN button and pushing the respective button. So I've paired this with my desktop computer and my MacBook, and it works fantastic for both of them. And also, if you want to switch between Windows and Mac layout, if you hit function S, that'll switch to Mac layout, and then function A will switch back to Windows. So it's something that I found by looking in the manual of all places. So yeah, that is something you should know. This will work really well with Macs as well. You just will have to get used to just having these keys because there's no extra keys inside of the box. So yeah, In terms of other things, you guys can see this thing has RGB lighting, and the RGB lighting you guys can see through because it's a high profile switch. The switches you can see right here, and I think it actually looks pretty good with the RGB lighting on. I think it's a good effect, but if you don't like it, obviously there's nothing you can do about it. You will be able to see the switches on all sides. So yeah, that is what it is. That's the type of design this is. Now, as I mentioned, this keyboard in particular comes with gateron brown switches. It is available in gateron reds and blues if you guys are interested in those. And let's go ahead and give you guys a sound test so you guys can check it out right here. So yeah, that's what the keyboard sounds like. I personally think the stabilizers could use a little bit of lubing because they are relatively rattly, but otherwise the switches actually feel pretty good for the price. So yeah, other than the rattly stabs, I don't really have much of a problem with this keyboard. I don't think the switches are any scratchier than they are usually. So yeah, you could of course take this keyboard completely apart and lube the stabilizers if you want to, but that is going to be a lot of work. You would have to desolder all the switches to do that. So just know that you aren't necessarily going to get the best sounding keyboard. Oh, I forgot to mention, this thing does have a flip up feet, but I personally found these feet to be just way too high. So there's already a natural inclination to the keyboard, but adding the feet to it, it just makes the keyboard just way too high and really hurts my wrist when I'm trying to type on it. So me personally, I always use it without, just something to know. It doesn't have two-stage flip-up feet, it's just a single stage that I find just is a little too high for me. Now inside, you also have a 1900 milliamp hour battery, which I have found gets really, really good battery life. Even with the lighting on, I've been using this thing for a solid week, like doing actual work with this keyboard, and it has lasted me the entire week, and I have not charged it once. So I think this keyboard will be fine in terms of lasting you. Like I said, it does have RGB lighting. Yeah, even had the RGB lighting, the full blast, and it was no problem whatsoever, which by the way, there are a ton of RGB modes, which I will go ahead and demonstrate for you guys right here. But yeah, with that, that's pretty much it for this review. I think this is a really interesting keyboard for the price. You get a lot of features that you don't normally see at this price point, like wireless connectivity, full RGB lighting, gateron switches. Those things you really can't find at this price point, but you do it with this keyboard. The only problem that I really have with this, other than the stabs, which are pretty rattly to me, other than that, is the layout, which for me personally, I can't do it. But if this layout, if you guys can get used to it, if you're not someone who uses the / or ? Key that often, and or you don't do touch typing, I think it's actually worth considering. But yeah, with that, that's pretty much it for this video. Like this one if you liked it, subscribe if you guys loved it, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.